Welcome to Wisconsin in Focus. I'm JD Davidson. If it's not one concern, it seems to be one or two or a dozen others when it comes to elections in Wisconsin. Republicans on the state and national level believe they aren't getting a fair shake when it comes to poll workers. And they filed a complaint with the Wisconsin Elections Commission. Joining us today is Ben Young, Wisconsin contributor for the Center Square. Ben, what are the national and state GOP upset about?
Well, it may not surprise you, but they're unhappy with election managers in Milwaukee and Madison again. You would think that Wisconsin was a swing state and that every election in this state has national ramifications. This is the beginning of what is going to be an awfully busy year for the Wisconsin Elections Commission and what is going to be a very long, drawn-out battle to get to November. Essentially, the RNC, along with the Dane County Republican Party and the Milwaukee County Republican Party, have filed a pair of complaints with the Elections Commission that says election managers in Madison and Milwaukee didn't follow the law when it comes to selecting people to be election observers or poll workers. And the way the law reads is the parties submit names. You get a list of Republicans who want to work at the polls, and you get a list of Democrats who want to work at the polls. And the way it's supposed to be is that the local election office then calls down the Republican list. Hey, can you come in? Can you come in? Can you come in? Same thing on the Democratic side. And only after they've exhausted that list, the word in the law is exhausted that list, are they allowed to go out and hire other nonpartisan or other poll workers. And the complaints here simply say, look, the Democrats who run the election offices in Milwaukee and Madison didn't do this. And they want the Elections Commission to remind the election offices in Milwaukee and Madison that this is what the law says. And they want to make sure, the RNC complaint wants to make sure that the Elections Commission actually enforces this going forward for the November election.
So I guess the first question I have, and it may be a little soon, what are election administrators in those counties saying? Do they have a response as to why they didn't, if they didn't follow the law?
As with so many, complaints, where we have to review the complaint. Not gonna comment on this or that. Generally, the response has been either silence. I mean, again, remember, these are some of the same election managers who never answered questions about what happened in the 2020 election. The Gableman investigation. These were people who were subpoenaed a couple of years ago and never went in to officially answer questions. They fought it in court. Wisconsin gives local election managers, and certainly in 2020, this was the pattern. Local election managers, local clerks, and there are 1,800 of them, I want to say, they get pretty wide latitude when it comes to managing their office. Now, the split in Madison between Democrats and Republicans was not that egregious for the April election. Madison had 60 Democrat poll workers and 51 Republican poll workers. It is a community that is overwhelmingly Democrat. But in Milwaukee, it was 215 Democratic poll workers and just 49 Republicans. So you have a much larger split. And this creates, again, the appearance of the opportunity for fraud. There's no allegation here. There have been no evidence presented that somebody did something wrong other than the complaint that says these guys didn't follow the letter of the law. There's nothing to make anyone think that the vote count was off or that somehow there was election fraud. But Wisconsin continues to be under the election microscope, and the opportunity or even the appearance of an opportunity for fraud sends off alarm bells and has Republicans here in Wisconsin and across the country, hair on fire, standing up, screaming, hold on, wait, look at this. We've got to do something about it. And this is not just Wisconsin, by the way. RNC said they've filed 82 election integrity challenges in 25 different states so far this cycle. So this is a party that has not forgotten what happened in 2020 and has a strategy going forward here into 2024.
Well, I'm assuming this complaint is centered around last week's election. Is that true, or is it?
Yeah, okay. This is for the April election.
So while the RNC hasn't forgotten that election, I would venture to say no one in the country has forgotten that election, and I would hope that would include election managers. And at some point, do you just not say, don't want to deal with the headache? Let's do everything exactly the way the law tells us to do?
You would think. But again, Wisconsin is the swingiest of swing states.
Sure. Yes.
And not to sound cynical or sound opinionated, but the upside of winning is so much better than the downside of losing that, you know, it's the old Pete Rose. You ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But this is one of these ones of, this is the first election here in the state in April. All right, there was a primary in February, but the April election is the first of a series of elections here in Wisconsin, all culminating in November. And the Wisconsin Elections Commission remembers the 2020 election. In fact, they've been sort of frozen out of, I don't know if it's fear or just a decision to not act. And so this is going to be, like I said, this is going to be the beginning of a very long, contentious election process, because both sides are ready to lawyer up and file challenges on a dime. And look, we got to sort out who makes the ballot. We got to sort out, we've got brand new elections for the state legislature. There could still be a recall election. There's a special election in Milwaukee that may need to be held. There's a lot of stuff that the Elections Commission has to settle on. Not to mention, the Wisconsin Supreme Court still has yet to weigh in on ballot drop boxes, and I'm sure there will be other election suits. So this is one of the ones where, yeah, the Elections Commission remembered what happened in 2020. They remember the beating that they took to their reputation. They remember the people who still to this day will say Joe Biden didn't really win that election. There was cheating, and Donald Trump really won here in Wisconsin. So, yeah, this kind of hey, let's follow the law on poll workers. You would think that would be an easy, ground ball, pick it up, throw it to first. In Wisconsin, when it comes to elections, there's nothing easy. There are no easy outs. Everything is a difficult play.
Ben, thanks for joining us today. Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com.
Some people would call him a loser. He ran for state office. He was beaten. He started a business. He failed. He ran for Congress. He lost. He was nominated for vice president. He lost again. But he knew only those who never tried are the real losers. And Abraham Lincoln was no loser. Persistence. Pass it on. From the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.